the majority of Floridians don't want Marco Rubio to be their senator. That's clear. Doesn't get over 50% in any poll that I've seen. So 50 to 55% will vote against that. In order to win, we need to unify to defeat the extreme right-wing candidate, Marco Rubio. It's that simple. So I think it's resonating, it's just divided right now. You know, divided we stand, or divided we fall, united we stand. We need to unite. And if the electorate and the people of Florida, particularly Democrats, decide, you know what, enough is enough, we've got to do what we got to do in order to make sure that we win on November 2nd.
Governor, we have another question from the floor here.
I'm Karen Dunlap, Governor, President of the Pointer Institute. As you came in, you paused to read the statement we have out there, the First Amendment. And now you are addressing Associated Press managing editors, news editors around the nation. How would you rate the work of news media in providing citizens with the information that they need?
Oh, I think it's extraordinary, and I'm in awe of it. I'm not just saying that to make you feel good. You know, I can't imagine having to write news stories every single day. And you know, my talent is not writing. I wish that it were. It's a special gift. I think the news media does a great job. It's even more difficult if, you know, once you include the 24/7 coverage. I think that makes it even more challenging for different messages to get out in the course of an election cycle, particularly because it's sort of, you know, sometimes drawn to the Jerry Springer event of the moment in a campaign. Not the highest level to reach, but I understand it. You know, you have to have ratings be good. We have a free market. But on the whole, I think particularly the print media in Florida has been pretty exceptional.
With only 13 days left before the election, 12 days, excuse me, and you noted that you're behind in the polls. How are you going to use the next 12 days to turn the tide as you want?
Just keep telling the truth.
Are you going to use any special methods or anything like that?
You want me to tell you everything I'm going to do?
No, I want to tell you what your strategy is as you get to the final days and how you plan to approach that.
Yeah, well, by what I just said, by telling the truth and making it crystal clear to the people of my state that if they want a radical, right-wing, extremist U.S. senator who wants to overturn Roe versus Wade, who wants to raise the age of eligibility and punish senior citizens in my state, who wants to punish teachers by the bill I had to veto as it related to public school teachers in Florida, he's their guy. Radical right, Sarah Palin fellow. And I think, you know, if I continue to tell them that and say, look, I'm the only one in this race who can both win in November and crash the Tea Party when I get there, I think that's how you do it. We'll see. It's going to be fun to watch.
Governor, welcome. There's another big race in Florida, the governor's race, and I was wondering if you had any advice for whoever wins that race. What have you learned during your 4 years as governor of Florida that should be the first thing on the next governor's agenda?
Well, far be it for me to do that. You know, there's a tradition among governors to kind of keep yourself out of their business once they're elected, and I would do everything I could to honor that tradition. But first I would congratulate them, tell them that it's one of the greatest jobs and honors anyone could ever have, and that stay the course on keeping our taxes low, trying to stimulate the economy as best you can by getting government out of the way. You know, I am a fiscal conservative. I'm also a social moderate. You know, keep the government out of their personal lives. Honor their privacy. Do what you believe is right in your heart. And pay particular attention to the people you appoint to the judiciary. I have strived to do that. I've appointed 4 members of the Florida Supreme Court, and they have been across the political spectrum and the ethnic spectrum as well. And I've done that on purpose because I want that court to look like Florida, and I believe that it does. Those are just a few thoughts.
Governor, hi, Michelle Morganti with Associated Press. As you just referred to, the Tea Party has changed the direction of the Republican movement. In your opinion, why has it happened, and what should the Republicans have or do in the future to change this?
I think the reason it's happened is probably multifaceted, but I think the dominant reason is the economy. And I think historically we all know that anytime there's a downturn in an economy, a dramatic downturn, it gives rise to certain movements. And I think that's exactly what has happened in America today, that there has been such a downturn that there is despair, there is fear, and now anger. I think it's really kind of that simple. And so in the Republican Party, it has migrated, at least, the extreme part of it, to the Tea Party. And so primary voters in the Republican Party have nominated, you've seen it across the country, O'Donnell, Engel, Paul, Rubio. And I think that's a recipe for disaster for our country and for freedom. It's ironic, I'm running against this guy who talks about less government, yet he wants to tell women what to do in their bedroom. It's amazing to me that some Republicans talk about less government and more freedom, but not when it comes to you. They want big government to tell you what to do everywhere in your life. And that's always bothering. I'm pro-life, but as I said earlier, I don't think they should impose their will on other people.
We've got time for 2 more questions.
Hi, Governor Martin Reynolds, Open Tribune in California. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
What has been the greatest challenge for you in going to independent? What has been the biggest challenge?
Well, I think the greatest challenge is you don't have that built-in structure that parties provide. That do phone banking across the state and put your signs up all over the place. The pleasant surprise for me, however, has been that there's an army of teachers out there that are helping us now. And I think in large measure, frankly, because I vetoed the bill that would have hurt them. Also, a lot of women are helping in our campaign, and I think for obvious reasons. They don't want the extremist Rubio to be elected. So there have been many surprises. I mean, this is an amazing journey, I gotta tell you. And nobody has successfully done it in the history of my state. And I hope that we break that tradition and get through.
Do we have a final question?
I hope so for the people.
Yes,
Not me.
there it is.
Hi, I'm Carol Hanner from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I just wondered what you envision as an independent in the U.S. Senate. How would you function, and how do you see that changing the way the Senate would operate to have an independent in the Senate?
Well, it's obviously different, no question about it. And I think that, first, I went to Wake Forest University. I played quarterback there. And have you met Richard Burr? Yeah, well, he and I were on the team at Wake Forest at the same time in the same class. He's one of the U.S. senators from North Carolina. It would be very different to be an independent in the U.S. Senate. And I think very important to, number one, winning sends the loud message that enough is enough of the party gridlock. And so just by achieving a victory does, I think, an enormous amount. But once there, and I'm asked this often, who would you caucus with? The first thing I would do is ask some very difficult questions of both parties. Number one, what are you going to do to help the economy get going in the next Congress, the next 2 years? Number two, what are you going to do to provide more job opportunities for my fellow Floridians that I care deeply about? Number three, what would you do, either the Republicans or the Democrats, to push forward a national catastrophic fund to protect states like my Florida from hurricanes? Number four, what would you do to help us with the Everglades funding that, frankly, Florida has met, the federal government has not? And see what the answers are to those questions from both. And if one of the two give a better answer, that's who I might caucus with. Or not at all, if there aren't good answers. So I think it'll make a big difference getting there. And I think that once you get there, you can still continue to be a refreshing, independent voice for the people first, instead of the party. I mean, it was Abraham Lincoln said it best. Government should be of the people, by the people, for the people. I know this stuff sounds corny, but I know it's important. And right now, our government in Washington is of the parties. And it's broken. You all write about it all the time. You know it to be true. And here in Florida, we have a chance to shatter that and get back to basics and do what's right.
Governor Crist, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.